I was actually just camping on the river. The place is nice and quiet, where people didn't know you were there, you know. So, got pretty lonely out there at times, but it's one of those things we've just got to make the best of life as it is. And, yep. I grew up on the farm, on station work, horses, cattle, you know, so I could turn my hand to anything. The main job was at the feed lot, but when I got home I was looking after cattle, fencing, all that sort of thing on the property. That was my rent, so it worked in quite well. Unfortunately, when I got the Q fever, it just hit me. I started vomiting. I drove myself into hospital. Thought I was going to die. It's one of those things, you just break out in fevers every so often and leaves you very tired, very drained. Couldn't work, so that was it. I ended up losing the house, days off work and stuff like that. I didn't have anywhere to go. It's how I become homeless. I was living in my ute, just camping on the river. Some nights it was cold, but some nights it was all right.
Our Cornerstone program is the only walk-in service in Warwick. We're an emergency response to people, whether it be homelessness, sometimes they need food assistance.
One of the boys that come in that were in the refuge, he was in the hospital with me at the same time. That's how I ended up finding out about Vinnie's and their refuge, men's refuge. So as soon as I got out of hospital, I actually went and saw Jackie.
Because he was sleeping in his truck, we were able to give him a bed in our hostel.
It all happened real quick. That day, they actually took me from the office down there and they took me straight round to the men's refuge. Introduced me to a few blokes that were there at that stage.
You know, because we have a limited number of beds in the hostel, so sometimes it is full, but fortunately the day Trevor came in, we did have a bed.
Men's refuge was a big thing for me. Just to have a roof over my head.
The hostel is an emergency response and the ultimate goal is to find them their own tenancy. We were working with Trevor. He did have some barriers that we worked out, and the barriers were affordability and rental history.
Without a rental history around here, you just won't get a house.
We were working towards getting him housed and he did get an offer of a one-bedroom unit. But at that time, just as he was about to accept it, then of course his life changed.
And the phone call came and I wasn't expecting what was to come. When I got that phone call, it was that all my problems, my trouble, my sickness and everything totally blanked that out. That experience was something I'll never forget. It was the first day of a new life. My mind went from being in hospital sick to my daughter needs me. You sort of just forget about your own troubles. I was going one way or another. I would have walked up there to get her if I had to. I lost Kaylee when she was 6. Her mother took off down New South Wales. I didn't know where she was. And I hadn't seen her in 10 years. And to have that phone call comes through on Father's Day. It's Kaylee. I thought, oh, she's ringing me for Father's Day, how great, you know, but it wasn't what I expected.
Me and Mum got kicked out of our house. I was going through such a horrible time being with my mum.
She saw a way of getting away from her mother down at Leeton, and it was a bad mistake. And that's how she ended up at Harvey Bay. It was a 28-year-old bloke, and it wasn't the nicest of things to happen to us. I told Jackie what was happening, and she couldn't help me enough. Without her, it wouldn't have been possible, really, because I probably would have got halfway there and run out of fuel.
I was talking to the child welfare. They turned up that morning saying my dad was in Harvey Bay and if I wanted to see him.
I was up there for 3 days before I actually got Kaylee out of child protection. I got the call to say, yep, we'll meet you on a park bench by the seaside, you know. And
I haven't seen Dad ever since I was like 6. I had no clue what he looked like.
yeah, a lot of thoughts were going through my mind what she was going to look like. But the minute I spotted her, that was it. I knew it was Kaylee. And yeah, a lot of tears flowed that day. So, yeah.
Pretty much ran up to him, gave him a big hug, crying. But to my surprise, he didn't change it one bit. A little grey, but he didn't change.
Great having a daughter again.
It was so scary to take that step.
It's pretty hard to go from being on my own to have the responsibility of having my daughter. Kaylee came on the scene and I couldn't have her there at the men's refuge.
Unfortunately in Warwick there is no emergency accommodation for youth or for families. Got him into a caravan park just as a stopgap until we could find him a more permanent home.
It wasn't the nicest place. It was middle of summer, screaming hot, but it was a roof over our head. We were together and yeah, we made the most of it.
It's not a very ideal, a small caravan with a 15-year-old girl and himself. We had to try and work hard to find him another tenancy.
I never thought of the consequences of having a daughter. It was more of Kaylee needed me and that was it. We just had to wait.
It didn't feel like we left each other at all. I've always been a daddy's girl.
There was never any building relationship. It was bang, it was there. We can't spoil her enough. Unfortunately, being on New Start, and that's really hard. I'd like to spoil her a lot more, but it's just not possible.
Trevor had been putting in applications around for other jobs and I knew that he was interested in trying to find work to supplement the income to help himself and Kaylee.
Jackie rang me one day and said, do you want a job at the bowls club? Would I be interested? And I just went down there and I had the job straight up, basically. Like, it's only a few hours a week, but it's somewhere to go, you know, I've got that. It's good to have a few extra dollars. Jackie and Dale both, they've been great, helping me, support me, getting me in this house.
We work in conjunction with the Department of Housing and Public Works and it's a transitional housing that we have and then it gives us 6 to 12 months to find a stable home for he and Kaylee and to be able to consolidate his rental history.
Hopefully we'll have our own place. I've got another 6 months here. I've got a good report with my lease the other day. If you haven't got a rental history, you know, your options are very limited and it's not nice to be living in somewhere where you feel uncomfortable. She's doing really well at school and it makes me feel even prouder that she's coming home with good marks.
From going really bad at school to being one of the highest students in school was pretty good. Like, I got an A- in my maths. I was pretty excited about that.
Trevor and Kaylee are a success story. It gives me a quiet satisfaction inside to feel that I've had some part in helping Trevor and Kaylee, and I'm looking forward to where they head from now, and I'm sure that it will be good things.
I'm hoping in the future that Dad will be a lot better than he is now. They can actually get on with their lives properly.
Now it's got to the stage where I'm trying to make it on my own, for Kaylee and I. Symphony's been great, but I'm trying to step away from that a bit. I think Jackie and Dale will always be there if I need them. Hopefully it'll be all good. I can't see why not. Can't thank the ladies enough.